what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. Let's talk about the Pelicans real quick, and then we'll get into, let's bring through a little LSU sandwich here. LSU landing 7 players on Phil Steele's preseason All-SEC team. Jake, the first team members, Kyren Lacy. So I think right there off the bat, kind of interesting in that, Kyren Lacy definitely has a lot of local hype, but he's kind of one of those players where you don't quite know what the national expectation is going to be because he was solid last year, but I guess like it's interesting to see national guys buying into local hive mind that Kyren Lacy is going to take a significant step forward and be a true one. Anytime you are first team All-SEC at that position, you got to be an absolute dog. So Phil Steele betting that Kyren Lacy is going to take the jump that we here locally think he will.
Well, if you take a look at what he did a year ago, I mean, having almost 600 yards receiving on only 30 catches, he actually averaged a full yard more than Malik Neighbors per catch, over a yard than Brian Thomas Jr. So he had 7 touchdowns as well.
I know.
So, I mean, the numbers are actually there. I don't think it's just hype of, every LSU number 1 receiver is awesome. Look at them. They're dominating the NFL. They just got drafted into the first round. I don't think it's some of that probably.
I just mean that, what will the numbers will almost have to double to be first team by the end of the year. Maybe not the touchdown number, but if you want to be first team at the end of the year, you got to go to 1,000 yards. The catches got to double, probably, and some. And that's a big jump.
Well, it's 157 catches that are now available.
Yep, up for grabs, and he's giant, right? And all reports that we've been getting in the offseason is that our guy is locked in and absolutely ready to take that leap. So Phil Steele agreeing, Kyren Lacy number 1. Will Campbell, first team All-SEC. I mean, duh.
He's the best player in the country.
Do we need to really expound on it? The Athletic, again, on their draft big board, has him as the number 1 overall prospect in the country. And let's just continue to reinforce the fact that we are talking about a true junior offensive lineman. I have never seen that before. This is not a redshirt sophomore. It's not a redshirt junior. This is a guy who is really maybe 21 now. Is Will Campbell 21 yet? If he is,
he's from the 318, so probably.
If he is, he probably just
Although he didn't
21.
go to Evangel or Monroe.
And so the point is to be that young, that solid, and
he's still 20.
Still 20 years old. And at that position, where
he's 20 until January 6th.
What?
Yeah.
He'll be 20 the entirety of the season. He'll barely have turned 21 when he's selected in the top 5 of the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Insanity. Of course he's first team All-SEC. He's first team All-American. And then I thought this was interesting. Phil Steele betting on Harold Perkins, refinding that form. I thought maybe you'd have a lot of media members feel kind of burned after last year where he had so much hype preseason. And then he actually had like a sneaky good year, but the expectations were so much larger than what he did in terms that Phil is with us in terms of Blake Baker and company making Harold Perkins great again.
It's a lot of unknown with him, but the one thing you do know is the talent's there.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like seeing him as a nickel Sam any more than any of you did, but the thing is, you have to respect how well he did at that. That is not an easy position to play. It's one of the more difficult positions to play on a football field. And one of the elite rushers in the country went out there and did it. Again, I didn't want to see him out there, but the fact that he could even do it at the level that he did is incredibly impressive to me.
He's still the only defender last year that had a pulse, that had any stats in terms of disruption, TFLs, picks, sacks. Harold Perkins is solid, but we expect him to be great again this year. So does Phil Steele. Then we jump down to third team for the Final Four here. Emory Jones, third team tackle, was accurate, fair. Should he be higher?
Yes. Yeah. He's not going to be first team, right? but he should at minimum be second team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that he didn't get second team somewhat, but it's also not really that hard to
I mean,
understand.
what, Banks from Texas probably got the other first team?
And it's one of those situations where it's you like kind of when you're putting these lists together, a lot of times you almost don't want to. It's like you don't want to double up. You try to avoid this because you try to be objective and say, okay, this guy belongs here, this guy belongs here. But at the same time, you don't just want to put like both the tackles as first team. And Will Campbell's shadow looms so large that Emory Jones always is kind of underappreciated in terms of how good and how solid he is. I mean, you're talking about probably the best tackle duo in the entire nation, but still, third team All-SEC. It's preseason. He has a chance to earn his way up.
Yeah, he's the only reason he's second team SEC is because there's another top 5 tackle that plays for Texas, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He ain't third team.
Slade Roy is on the third team as well. Deep snapper, great name, third year starting. Of course, has been perfect basically during the time. Makes a lot of sense. Also, LSU kind of a deep snapping pipeline at this point. I was a bit surprised here. Greg Penn getting some preseason love. Maybe partially a function of a guy that's been doing it for a very long time, but also another sign, and we'll get to this in the EA rankings as well, that they are expecting some defensive improvement under Blake Baker, specifically at that position.
I'm expecting improvement at that position without question. Look at what he did the first time that he was here. But also, Greg Penn was a tackle away from being your leading tackler a year ago. He also had 4 sacks.
Oh.
So 90 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, 1 forced fumble. Like Greg Penn was really good last year.
Yeah, I know, but me and you have always been kind of low on him.
Well, we've said that he's a first and second down linebacker.
Yes, I hope that Greg Penn can have a even better year, prove me wrong about kind of maybe some of the limits that I've put on him. And if he does so, well, maybe he finds all I see at the end of the season. And then Xavier Thomas, the Mississippi State transfer, named both the third team punt and kick returner. And please, God, I hope so. Like there is no way that LSU should be as bad at that position as they have been the last few years. It boggles the mind. It borders on insanity that you could have these teams filled with so many premier athletes, guys. 70% blue chip ratio from the recruiting ranking. 70%. Okay? And you can't find someone to return kicks? And we got cats out here back there just because they can catch it? Get the hell out of here.
For a long time.
For a long time. Like probably the greatest other kind of black mark on the Brian Kelly era, along with like being ready for the first game and whatnot. So I really hope that Xavier Thomas lives up to this billing. He was really good in this role at Mississippi State. He already has a couple touchdowns to his name. I think he will because he's proven that he can. And if he comes here and he can't, well, then you have a problem with how you're coaching and developing it.
Yeah, I agree with you. It has to change. LSU, when they're at their best, has a dynamic playmaker back there. They just do. Buster Davis, Trendon Holiday, Tyrann Mathieu. I mean,
Trey White. He was sketchy sometimes, but he had a few touchdowns mixed in as well.
Yes, even Derek Stingley, right? I mean,
Yep.
He gave you something. He gave you the ability to make an exciting play, the ability to hit a home run. In the last couple of years, you've basically had me back there.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, go fair catch this. Do not return it and give us the ball.
Like, I mean, that's what I was taught on, like, as an O-lineman on kick return. And you're telling me that's how we've been developing our punt returners? Ridiculous. Also, Xavier Thomas could be sneaky good as a receiver for this team as well. I don't feel like we talked about it enough. I feel like, of course, Kyren Lacy, of course, CJ Daniels being the big receiver recruit from a statistical standpoint. Remember, when we prepped for Mississippi State last year, the only guy that jumped off the film was Xavier Thomas. And we said that, and he had about a statistically equivalent season to that of Kyren Lacy. So I'm going to be interested to see what he does offensively as well.
I got a couple of weapons
Not
as far
long
as
now.
like receiver, by the way. Like, yes, it's going to be Kyren Lacy, and you've got some outside options, but they have some interesting like slot guys that they can get the ball in their hands quickly, make them, have to put pressure on the defense, see if they can make a play in space. Because look, that is okay. It is okay to have the ball, get it out of your hands, get it one-on-one with your guy, and you've kind of been missing that kind of receiver. You've had plenty of guys on the outside, even guys in the slot that can run every single route, but I'm talking about just quick hitters, just let the guy one-on-one in space, and that feels like that's what he can be. That's what we thought Aaron Anderson would be a year ago.
Yeah, that's true. Anderson didn't really. Hopefully, Xavier Thomas can be a bit more effective in that role. So there it is. Phil Steele, 7 preseason All-SEC team members. Congratulations to all those guys, man. That's awesome. Like, it's so crazy how when you're an athlete, something like third team, you can feel like snubbed, but it's still a great honor to be recognized in a conference this deep with this much talent. So huge congrats to all 7 guys.
I'll say it's, not quite the honor that Will Campbell and Harold Perkins and Whit Weeks find themselves on the all-Meathead team with.
Yeah,
and the
sure.
Phil Steele, but it's pretty close.
Damn, LSU's got 3 players on the all-Meathead team. Does that lead the way?
I have to double-check that.
Yeah.
I have to double-check that.
Good. Hey, F him.
Yeah, there's only one Ohio State guy because Bobby didn't do his homework.
I mean, let's also be honest. Like, the whole problem with Ohio State is that they're not meathead enough.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why they've been getting their ass kicked by Michigan. Like, they have better players. They're just soft and flashy. Like, Ohio State has to prove to me this year, if they're going to win a natty, they got to have a little grit, a little gristle, a little gravel in the belly. And I just don't know if I see it yet.
We do have to mention Skylar Green before.
For kick return. I mean, look,
Me.
the list is long and distinguished.
We had to name our teammates, though.
True.
God, I went from Skylar Green to Buster Davis to Trendon Holiday.
Yeah, strong. And then straight into what? Tyrann Mathieu? Pat Peterson. Then Tyrann Mathieu. Like, what are we doing? And now we got guys just fair catching it every time. Please, Xavier Thomas, rescue us. Send us back to the land of milk and honey. Split the defense like the Red Sea and find your way to consistently good returns. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.